We have a concerning Toronto Raptors trade update as a new report has linked a familiar name to the Toronto Raptors in Patrick Williams. As the Bulls are looking to have a fire sale ahead of this year's trade deadline, Patrick Williams is a name that has been dangled around trade talks, and the Raptors have now been linked. So we'll discuss the fit out here on the current Toronto Raptors roster, why this would be a serious risk for Masai Ujiri given his current contract status, but what the upside would be for the Toronto Raptors making this move. So we'll discuss that, including multiple Toronto Raptors injury updates. As these games continue to chug along, as this team has dealt with a ton of injuries over the course of the season. So lots of stuff to break down in this video. But before we do, folks, we have an exciting announcement, as this video is brought to you by Rentals.ca, who are proud supporters of Team Canada. And while they've been supporting our national team defend their home court in international competitions, they've also been helping thousands of Canadians find their home floor all across the country, whether you're in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Halifax, Winnipeg, Mississauga, Edmonton, Victoria, St. John's. From coast to coast, Rentals.ca have a ton of options for you to find the perfect place and price for you. Their website is clean, it's easy to use, and you can pinpoint exactly on the map where you're looking to move and find all of the options in your area. So find your home court with Rentals.ca. Check out their website. It's in the pinned comment as well as the description down below. And shout out to Rentals.ca for supporting our national teams, for supporting this channel. They've been a long time supporter of, Raptors Digest, all the Digest media channels, but most importantly, being a proud supporter of all you guys. Find your next, whether it's house, apartment, condo. I mean it. Check out Rentals.ca in the description of their website. They got a ton of options, whatever you're trying to do out there in your moving space. So definitely give them a click down below. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into what's been going on. So the first thing we're taking a look at is multiple Toronto Raptors injury updates as we, continue to deal with tons of injuries over the course of the season. Now, it's been nice to see Scottie Barnes back for sure. Obviously, RJ Barrett missed some time early on in the season, but Raptors fans are fairly hopeful for the squad to finally have the full contingent of players back together, especially with how much investment we had in the guys like Immanuel Quickley, these young players over the course of the offseason. But that hasn't really been the case, and it doesn't look like it's happening very imminently either, as a new report has come out revealing that Gradey Dick, Bruce Brown, Immanuel Quickley, and Kelly Olynyk will all remain out for tonight's matchup now against the Miami Heat, and there's no real crazy imminent timelines for a return. Gradey Dick should return sometime this week. Immanuel Quickley should be a little bit further into December, obviously December 1st today, and then we still don't know about Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk because, again, those guys, Bruce Brown, there was some chatter last week about Bruce Brown return coming pretty soon, and he's back playing some 5-on-5 action, but the Raptors, of course, do not want to rush him, dealing with the injuries he had over the course of the last season. They don't want to rush him back in terms of throwing him out there after a long extended break and then just having him injured once again. Whether it's, to win some games to do this or to use him as an asset, closer to the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens with Bruce Brown, but no crazy returns imminent, despite the fact we thought, entering this week, there might be a lot of guys back out here on the roster. So disappointing update there, but no setbacks, which is a positive. But the more juicy, probably interesting storyline to a lot of Toronto Raptors fans is the new Raptors trade update. And yes, it's December, folks. December 15th is where we really see these trade rumors, all these trade talks start to perk up, and rise as a lot more players are available to be traded. And one of the names on that list is Patrick Williams, who is a guy that's been linked to the Toronto Raptors for a very long time and it's happening once again. As news has come out, essentially that if we bring up the right report, the Chicago Bulls are expected to make nearly their entire roster open for a trade in an attempt to shed salary and improve their draft position. League figures have openly questioned why the Bulls front office has been rather inactive to this point since their major acquisitions in 2021. Now, few rival executives meanwhile expressed much interest in swingman Patrick Williams, who the Chicago Bulls rewarded with a 5-year, $90 million deal this past offseason. There had been chatter around the league about the Charlotte Hornets, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Toronto Raptors lurking for Patrick Williams. So the Raptors are not the only team that's linked to Patrick Williams. He's a guy that hasn't really taken any major leaps, but still puts up solid, efficient stats. 10 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and shooting 40% from the three-point line and 50% on corner threes. I mean, at only 23 years old, it feels like he's been in the NBA for absolutely ever, right? Is a guy that definitely still has tremendous upside, still has a lot of potential, and does scream to me as the type of player that Masai Ujiri would be interested in, as, he makes sense why he would, because frankly, the Raptors have been linked to him for a very, very long time here now at this point. But, the same way the Raptors took a risk on Ochai Agbaji last trade deadline, Patrick Williams feels like the type of player that really could blossom out here in this Toronto Raptors system with this new development, project that we have with Darko Rajaković leading the way. He's a guy with high upside that, even though he's been in the league for a few seasons now at this point, maybe with a change of scenery, you take the risk and you bite the bullet and you bring him in, because he hasn't been that bad, especially as a three-point shooter in previous seasons. So, Ben, why'd you title this video, concerning Toronto Raptors trade update? Whatever the heck I end up titling this thing. Well, the reason is because of specifically the contract and what we have to deal with there in terms of the contract situation. Because again, the Raptors have a lot of money tied up in a lot of players, for the future for a team that, is openly, maybe not openly, but is openly in a rebuild. Lots of fans are openly trying to seek a capture the flag situation right now. We have a lot of money tied up in Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and then Scottie Barnes obviously has big contracts incoming. Then we also have to be cognizant of Gradey Dick's, even though he still has, a few years left on that rookie scale, but, he's going to get a bag, very, very soon, sooner than a lot of people probably think. There's a lot of guys out here that you don't want to tie up long-term capital because, again, Raptors' name of the game is flexibility right now. And as the reports kind of illustrated, Patrick Williams is a long-term money deal, right? A 5-year, $18 million per year per season, contract. And while I think that's a reasonable amount of money for the production he's putting up, maybe a little bit overpriced, we saw the Raptors unwilling to give Gary Trent Jr. a similar contract when Gary was putting up, a little bit better stats, for the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, he's had an up and down ride with the Milwaukee Bucks here now at this point, but Patrick Williams is a guy that has a lot of money tied up long-term. Now, I don't think this is a horrific contract to bring in, but name of the game is flexibility when you're in a rebuild, when you're in one of these situations. And, making a deal for a guy like Patrick Williams is tying up some of that flexibility. And yes, he might be worth the risk, might have some high upside, and then you have him locked in at a very, very, I don't want to, if he develops right, because again, if he stays steady, this is a market value contract, but if he does improve, if he does take a leap forward with your squad, with your team, and that's a very, very bargain deal for the Raptors going out there into the future. So, there's that sort of, split in terms of mind, in terms of how you'd perceive one of these Patrick Williams trades going down, and the Raptors could easily make one of these trades happen because, again, Patrick Williams for Bruce Brown, that deal straight up works once Patrick Williams is trade eligible. So, again, you're giving up a long-term salary, the Chicago Bulls, to acquire Bruce Brown, who is not that much of a, high upside guy for a team that's in a rebuild and tanking, but he can get off of his money in the short term. So, again, you can facilitate this deal if you want to take that risk, but it is certainly a risk here now at this point because looking at Patrick Williams' development over the years, he hasn't taken major steps up. He has been very flatline, very steady in terms of his overall production, in terms of what he's doing. So, again, he's taking a higher volume of three-point shots, which is encouraging this year, and his three-point percentage hasn't dipped, which is cool, but again, there's been no major jumps, no major leaps since he was really 19 years old. So, again, we haven't seen a great history of him taking leaps forward, taking big jumps in terms of development, in terms of skill set. But with the Toronto Raptors, you'd be taking that risk to see, hey, maybe in a Darko Rajaković system, he takes that jump. But if things don't work out, you have a lot of money long-term locked into Patrick Williams. Now, it's a tradable contract, it's a tradable asset, but would just be concerning to me if the Raptors were to make this move. And it would also take away minutes from guys like Mobo. Younger guys are developing. We don't know their actual upside yet. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about a Patrick Williams trade in the comment section down below. I don't think it would necessarily affect, the hunt for Cooper Flag, that quest. I don't think he'd immediately make us a way better win now player. Some people, why would the Raptors make win now moves? But it's a guy that with development, it takes some time, same way Ochai Agbaji did, and then maybe next season he could be a really solid impact player. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. You guys have the best thing as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.